Hi, everyone. It's Tran Bowie. Thank you for watching the Roswell Music Fest. We are taking it virtual this year. And you know what? Gone are the days when the only time you can find music is on the radio. You can get it just about anywhere, right? That's why I love the idea of radiotucker.com. This is such a cool concept that was created by Jason Becknell. He wanted to bring an eclectic mix of music and information to the town of Tucker and their surrounding areas, and it has gained worldwide appeal. So joining me now is Jason from his studio. And Jason is also a DJ, and I hear an Emmy award-winning TV producer as well. Jason, hi.
Hi, Tran. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, before we get to the music, tell me about this TV gig, because I have years in TV news as well, so I'm very fascinated. Congratulations on your Emmy.
Oh, thank you very much. Actually, so it all kind of comes full circle. When I was a teenager, I knew I wanted to be in broadcasting, especially radio, because I love music. I got into radio, did that for a while, and then went to college, studied broadcasting, and came out a TV producer. I've been in the Atlanta area for about 12 years now, working at several of the local TV stations, and now work at the Weather Channel. But this summer, I decided I missed radio, like you said, the days of radio. And I noticed that in Atlanta, although we have several radio stations, there wasn't one station that was playing music that I grew up with, that I like, the alternative rock from the 60s to now, and a lot of the Georgia bands. Allman Brothers, REM, all those bands that you think about Georgia, and I wasn't hearing them here in Georgia. And I said, if someone else isn't going to do it, I'm going to do it. So I found out about internet radio. You don't need an FCC license. It's a lot easier, no red tape, and you're heard CD quality sound everywhere on your phone. We're on Alexa, we're on the TuneIn app, or you can listen at radiotucker.com anywhere in the world. And we also like to highlight local bands. And what other radio station is going to do that? So local bands like the ones playing here at the Roswell Festival can submit music to Radio Tucker, and we'll play them on our local time show.
Wow. And that's the thing that has changed. I'll admit, I don't listen to the radio unless I'm in the car. I don't play it at home. I have a Spotify playlist. So do you find that people do miss having that radio feel?
Well, I know I did, because I did move into that, the MP3 world and Spotify. And Spotify's great. I have an account. You can listen to almost any song in the world, but you're your own DJ. You have to make it up. So how are you going to hear new music? And so I missed having that DJ to curate and expose me to new music. And so I want to be able to do that for people too with Radio Tucker, and a total mix of music. It's hard for a local band to get their music submitted to the distributors and the record companies to get on corporate radio. Radio Tucker, it's a small operation. It's me. I'm here. I'm local. I love to help promote local bands and get your music on Radio Tucker, and it can be heard around the world.
Oh, that's wonderful. And this is the perfect venue with Roswell Music Fest. I have met so many amazing musicians and bands who are all trying to break into the industry, playing at local, restaurants and pubs and various venues. And so they can just contact you, right?
Yes, and that reminded me of another thing. I guess this was a brainchild because we're all in this new world of coronavirus, and I loved going out to local clubs and seeing local music and festivals like the Roswell Festival. And because of this terrible virus, we just can't. And so I had another idea. I said, well, if I make this radio station, maybe this is an outlet for some of those bands who are on hold right now. They can't go out and play, but they've still got music. They're still producing music they want to play. And so we can play them on local time or put them in our library. You can have an instant request on Radio Tucker to play any of the local music we have in there. So many great bands, I can't even list them right now. But if you go to radiotucker.com, scroll down, you can search our entire catalog. So if you like, the Bitterroots or the Andy Brown Troupe or Lynx Deluxe or any of those local bands, play it instantly on Radio Tucker. Even if it's not in the playlist, you can control the radio.
So let's talk about your schedule and your lineup. I know that you do play music, but you have other DJs and various interview segments and stuff. Talk about that.
Yeah, so the main mix of music is just a wide array of music. I call it alternative rock from the 60s to now. Don't pigeonhole alternative rock like, 90s and grunge bands like Nirvana, but I call it alternative. It's just alternative to what you would hear on the corporate radio. There's that one big station in Atlanta that plays the classic rock hits you expect to hear. I want to play the hits that you missed, the ones you forgot about, those deep cuts from back in the 60s and today, those REM songs before REM blew up. That kind of music. So we play that in our mix, and then weekdays 6 to 8 is Georgia homegrown. I did a whole block of 2 hours, 5 days a week, only Georgia bands. And any Georgia band, from Outkast, REM, Allman Brothers. If they were a band from Georgia, from any era. I'm going to play it during that Georgia Homegrown show, Monday to Friday, 6 to 8. On the weekends, we do the local time, and that's for the local unsigned bands. Send me your music, and we'll get you on the air so you can help get your music out there to anyone in the world. And on Sundays, we actually do a guest DJ program. I had so many people say, hey, I want to come DJ for you.
Whoa.
Well, we're a small operation, but I came up with a concept called guest DJ. So they actually record their DJ tracks either on their phone, or if they have a home studio, that's great. Send me a list of about 10 to 15 songs. We put it together, and then it gives anyone, even if you don't have any experience as a DJ, I'll help guide you, and you can do a guest DJ segment, and all your friends and family can listen to you on the radio.
Oh my goodness, how fun is that? I love that you're giving us all these opportunities. So were you a musician as well, or are you a musician?
Well, as you see behind me, I do have some guitars and assorted musical equipment. I've always dabbled in music. I wouldn't call myself a professional musician, but it's helped me enjoy music more to be able to play. I sometimes play with Andy Brown, a little percussion, congas or something like that. He's nice enough to let me do that. But I've enjoyed music my whole life. And when you enjoy it, I enjoyed playing it some as well. But I'm not a professional musician, so I turn more to what I know, and what I know is broadcasting. So that's how I'm helping the scene.
Yeah, no. So what are some of your favorite bands?
I've mentioned them several times already, so I have to say REM and Georgia's own Driving and Crying. Driving and Crying is one of the bands that led me to all these other great Georgia bands that you don't hear about. The Night Porters that Andy Brown was in, and I think he's playing at the Roswell Fest with his band Lynx Deluxe.
Yeah.
Allman Brothers. I mean, I just love Georgia rock. If it's from Georgia and it's rock, I love it.
Oh, I love that too. And don't you feel like old is new again? Because I keep hearing these songs when I am in the car on the radio. I'm hearing these songs, and my daughter is, enjoying some of this new music, but it's a song from way back when, where she calls it old music. But don't you find that people are rediscovering, even if it's in a different version?
It does. It's very cyclical. And I think, so I'm a child of the 90s scene. I was growing up in the 90s with the alternative music. And now it's 20 years later. And now I'm hearing these new bands with this sound. And I was like, oh, listen to this new sound. I go, no, we had that sound in the 90s. Just like when my parents were saying in the 90s, I was hearing music and go, no, he's influenced by Jimi Hendrix and Eric Clapton. So rock and roll, I think, is on this like generational loop that every 20 years, what's old is new again.
Yeah, I love that. And so where do you think that music is going? Do you like what's out there now?
Well, yes and no. And again, that takes me back to Radio Tucker, because when you listen to mainstream radio, whether it's rock or pop, the complaint is a lot of it sounds the same. And that's because there's really only a few really good, high-level professional producers, and they're producing everyone. And they start to sound the same. And now we have electronic music. And I love a lot of electronic music. Electronic music's great, but a lot of it starts to sound the same. But if you dig deeper, you'll find there's all these bands out there that just aren't getting heard. And again, back to Radio Tucker, I want to be that venue that allows all these different sounds to be heard, and not just what the corporate rock radio gods say should be heard.
Yeah, and you're right. I will go to various venues, or even just like stumble into a restaurant and hear a musician I've never heard of before. And that person is just as good or even better than some of the people on the radio. So yes, they're just not discovered. And
Right.
Radio Tucker is actually allowing them to be discovered. So with that, I want to talk about, where do you think the music industry is going now that we are in the midst of this pandemic? Are we going to go back to where we were? I mean, will musicians want to play in person?
I sure hope they do. I hope that very soon there's a vaccine, or this virus goes away. No one knows when. I hope it happens. I hope it happens soon. I had so many tickets to so many great shows this year. They were all, of course, canceled. And I feel really bad for all the musicians who that's their livelihood. They depend on that money now more than ever, because gone are the days when you signed a record deal and the company, threw you tons of money, because gone are record stores. You're not going there. You have Spotify. And if you know enough about the industry, Spotify pays, but it's like 0.001 cent per play. It's not enough to make a living. And so bands were making a living touring. And that was great for fans like me, because I love live music and I still go out and see live music. And I enjoy supporting local bands and national bands by buying tickets and their merchandise and going to see them. And when that virus came out and all that shut down, the first thing I wanted to do is how can I still support these bands locally that I like, because I know they're hurting, especially the ones that quit their day job to follow their dream.
Right.
So I buy merch, buy T-shirts, buy their actual albums off directly from their website, so the money goes straight to the bands. And then from that idea, I also created Radio Tucker so that the bands have an outlet to get their music out there. We can, talk to me if you want to do a live concert on Radio Tucker. Give me an email, radiotuckerdj@gmail.com. I'm doing this for the love of music, for the love of the local musician. I want to help spread music in a time when we can't do it the way we used to do. But I hope we come back to that. I want to go to a lot of concerts in 2021.
I know there's something just amazing about being there in person and like being part of that magic and that intimacy of a concert. So thank you so much for supporting the Roswell Music Fest and supporting our local musicians. I love what you're doing. I can definitely see the enthusiasm. And hopefully I'll get to see a concert with you in person one day.
Yes, and when the Roswell Music Festival comes back to a physical thing, I'll be there next year, just like last year. I love going to festivals. I love that we have so many around Atlanta, and I hate that this year is put them on hold. So kudos to you for coming up with a way to, the show must go on, right? The show must go on some way, somehow, and we have the technology. So, and thanks for inviting me to be part of it.
Yes, thank you so much. And everyone out there, keep watching the Roswell Music Fest and enjoy your evening. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Tran.